Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Tim Braden, Second Legacy, and thank you so much for tuning in. We have got to talk about something, guys. We figured it out. We have understood that the point behind every problem in the United States is clearly the guns. It's the guns. It's the effing guns. Of course, I'm being hyperbolic and silly because that's what the gun controllers say. Even terrorism does not escape the guns. That's what we're going to talk about because Shannon Watts of Moms Man Action has posted something that we need to address. As a international terrorist plot has been foiled, and yes, Tim, you're right, it's the guns. So people, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Tim, listen, It's the guns. We know it's the guns.
Is it any particular type of gun, or is it just all guns?
Alpha Romeo -15, sir. Alpha Romeo.
Oh.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. Those bigots going after the black rifles.
Exactly. I'm glad you're following the vibe. There's actually an element of racial concern in this video because we're going to go to CBS here. But I mean, listen, this is really important to set this up. Dr. Slides, do you have the ability to scroll that up and move the window down so we can see the original tweet? Tim, would you like to narrate this, or would you prefer that I do it so we set it up properly?
You go ahead and do it.
Okay.
You're
right.
the narrator.
Oh, there we go. Okay, well, from Shannon Watts. New. Police foiled a major terrorist plot targeting 770. The Shabbat, I can't say that last name, sorry. Headquarters in New York City, planned for October 7th. That's an interesting name. The suspect was talking to undercover police, and he needed to obtain an AR-style assault rifle and ammunition. All right, so Tim, clearly this terrorist attack would never have happened if the siren's call of the Alpha Romeo 15 hadn't sung clearly, right?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I know now why you wanted me to narrate.
I did.
Yeah. I would have screwed that up too.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't take the bait on that one. So
whatever.
Good old Shannon T. Watts.
Yep.
Blaming
you guys don't know that.
Because if the AR was not available, there's definitely no alternative. If you can just get AR style assault rifles off the street, well then hey, everything just goes back to hunky dory and no more violence and crime. It just all goes away because it's the AR-15.
Yeah. No complaints. I'm glad we're on the same page. And Shannon Tabitha Watts is over the target. Well, we've set it up pretty good. I'm excited about it because now we got to dive into the hard facts. So, Dr. Slides, if you could throw that back down to center for the people, we'll get into what Nora O'Donnell says from CBS, and let's get it.
Breaking news, the Justice Department says a planned terror attack in New York City has been thwarted. The suspect allegedly wanted to target Jewish people on October 7th, 1 year after the attack in Israel. The suspect was quoted by the FBI as saying, "If we succeed with our plan, this would be the largest attack on U.S. soil since 9/11." CBS's Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
Tim, if only the AR-15 had not seduced this individual.
Well, I mean, really, this guy was just hoping that he could talk an AR-15 into the act because we all know it's true. The guns do this, right? The terrorist
and the ammunition. Don't forget
is a victim and all. Well, and the ammunition. They kind of go hand in hand. But the terrorist is the actual victim here, folks. If it wasn't for the seductive power of the AR-15, this poor innocent terrorist wouldn't be terrorizing people.
See?
As a matter of fact, I would be surprised the AR-15 put the October 7th date in his ear. I mean, these are just these machines. I mean, and what's crazy about these, Braden, the AR-15s?
What is?
They predate modern AI, yet they're so intelligent. These things were designed in the 60s. And here they are talking to people and incentivizing violence, causing terrorist acts. I mean, these are really, really evolved weapon systems. I mean,
I think it's the direct impingement.
AI. What's that?
Yeah, it's the DI. It's the direct impingement. I think that's actually where it went wrong.
It could be, yeah. Because, when I get gassy, I talk a lot too. So
I get it.
Yeah.
October 7th, it put it in its ear. And I'm sure that this is just someone who was just going to school. There was no negative intent. There was no foreign connections. There was no terroristic desire with that date and targeting specifically a specific race in New York. Maybe there's more here, Tim. I'm sure there is. Actually, I know there is. But let's get it. So Dr. Slides, play that.
With new reporting. Good evening, Nancy. It is chilling to read what this suspect was planning.
It really is, Nora, and it took the FBI working with Canadian law enforcement to identify and apprehend this suspect, who is now accused of plotting to carry out a mass shooting at a Jewish center in Brooklyn, which authorities say he wanted to do just over a month from today. The suspect's name is Mohammed Shahzeb Khan. He is a 20-year-old Pakistani citizen who lived in Canada. He allegedly began posting on social media in support of ISIS last November and eventually, without his knowledge, began communicating with two undercover law enforcement officers.
All right, hold on a second.
To him.
Tim, they don't have AR-15s in Pakistan. I mean, everyone knows it's an AK world outside the U.S. So,
well, you know, we kind of when I say we, I mean Biden and Harris kind of left like billions of dollars of hardware over in the Middle East when we, you know, left in the middle of the night. And I think just I don't know that historically speaking, and we're getting on the rumble strip here a bit, but you know, historically speaking, that region of the world has relied heavily on AKs. But as we've learned, because now you see all the pictures coming out of the Middle East, that same area, the contrast between the 1980s and the 2020s, it seems like they're all using American kit now. Why would that be? Probably because when an invading army comes in and dumps millions of weapons in the area, maybe that's what they're going to use. Maybe there wasn't a preference for the AK. It was just what was available at the time.
That's good thinking, Tim. What was on the ground in piles. Yeah.
Right. So now we've left piles of M16s over there, which are very similar in appearance to the AR-15, and maybe they just kind of prefer those now. No, they're not the same.
Yeah, maybe that's it. And I mean, it's weird, though, Tim, because a person in Canada who was originally from Pakistan who shared affinities with ISIS, I think Shannon Tabitha Watts is onto something. It's definitely the AR-15. Nothing else there. Nope. It's not foreign indoctrination, not foreign ownership.
Yeah, thank goodness he didn't ask for, you know, something like, a Mini 14 or something. Because there's no such thing as 30, 40 round magazines or drums for Mini 14s. Nobody's ever done anything like that. I mean, who wants to use a Woodstock when polymer exists? You know, it's
valid.
And ironically, you know, the Mini 14 in the state of Illinois apparently is still not considered an assault weapon. Under their new corny far left laws. But anyway, okay.
Well, the mysteries
back on course.
The mysteries never end.
Watts.
Shannon Tabitha Watts. Say her middle name. You got to say it. All right.
I talk quickly.
You do. It just happens. So this is an interesting piece, Tim. ISIS, if I recall correctly, I believe ISIS is a terrorist organization.
It's also a movie theater near where I live, but go ahead.
Wow. I knew it.
What? I'm not kidding.
But anyway, no, I don't.
It's an unfortunate name,
that, Tim.
But they named it like 40 years ago. So it's not their fault.
Hey, you know, Rumble Strip. Now I get my own Rumble Strip. You remember when there was like a resurgence of ISIS, but they were like, no, this isn't the real ISIS. This is like ISIS K. You remember that? It was like Special K, but ISIS. That was weird. Anyway, I don't know why that popped in my brain.
Yeah, Gen X, Gen Z. We got ISIS K, ISIS Z, ISIS. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, let's get back. Maybe there's some more details to Nora's report.
According to Attorney General Merrick Garland, the defendant is alleged to have planned a terrorist attack in New York City around October 7th of this year with the stated goal of slaughtering, in the name of ISIS, as many Jews as possible. October 7th, of course, will mark 1 year since the brutal surprise attack by Hamas on Israeli citizens that left nearly 1,200 people dead. Now, Khan was apprehended just a couple of days ago in Quebec. It's believed he was headed towards the U.S. border. A resident in the area said she saw police officers outside her home put a man in handcuffs.
Tim, in the name of ISIS, specifically slaying the Jewish population. Yeah. Yep. Definitely ARs. Definitely guns. Yep. Nothing else going on.
Yep. And and those Canadians, when did he plan on picking the AR-15 up? He didn't get it in Pakistan. He probably didn't get it in Canada because I don't think they have them up there. And so I guess he's just going to swing by New York. No, they don't have them in New York either.
Well, that's gun control. That's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, but I think he just verbalized this, right? Is that what the accusation is? He just verbalized.
Well, the accusation is he was verbalizing to FBI and police undercover about getting AR-15s and ammunition. He didn't actually have them. It was I'm going to go kill a bunch of people, specifically of the Jewish population, with an AR-15 on October 7th to create the newest terrorist attack on the United States since 9/11.
Did he give the police officers a shopping list? Like, my first choice would be the AR-15, then maybe the AK, the Mini 14, an M1A, or maybe a G3 clone, like a PTR-91. Did he have like a laundry list of like, if this isn't available, then this, or it's just like AR-15 or nothing. Like, officer, if you can't get me this AR-15, this terrorist attack can't go forward.
I don't know. It's a valid question. It's not provided. Okay. But you know what? Let's listen to a witness of the police. This witness is, if you ever wanted to describe a Canadian, this is a Canadian. And then we'll get into it.
On her front lawn.
They said that it was confidential and they couldn't tell me what was going on. I just saw, the SWAT team vans and the army and the guys all in camouflage with the M16s.
This suspect allegedly told the undercover officers that he chose New York City because it has, quote, the largest Jewish population in America and, quote, we could easily rack up a lot of Jews. He is charged with one count of attempting to provide support to terrorists. Nora?
Good work by the FBI and law enforcement.
Now, did I miss it? Did that news report actually say AR-15 in it?
It didn't. It never said AR-15. It said assault rifle.
But this is what she cited as evidence that he was asking for an AR-15.
Isn't that weird?
The news report doesn't even bring up the rifle. Okay, interesting.
Didn't bring it up. Yeah, it's odd. And not a mention of terrorism or,
Do you think Shannon Watts,
Tabitha?
Maybe Tabitha? It added a little to this, maybe? Or
did
she cite another source?
No, there was no source added. So, Tim, you aren't suggesting that the founder of Moms Ban Action and one of the co-founders emeritus of Everytown for Gun Safety, they wouldn't see everything as a gun control opportunity and mark a noted terrorist attack that was foiled as a gun control opportunity. What? You're not saying that, are you?
No. Moms desperately in need of action has been probably the straightest shooting organization, pun intended, of any of them. Yeah. So, wow.
Glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know what happened here, Braden? I know what happened.
What happened?
An AR-15 got in her ear. An evil
God,
AR-15 got in her ear and planted the notion that an AR-15 was invoked in this news report that they didn't invoke the name of the AR-15, but she thinks they did.
Maybe that's what happened. Because as we've established and surmised in this video, there's a lot of siren call behavior from the inanimate objects that are.
Oh, and there's dog whistles.
Yeah.
Dog. Use dog whistle.
There. I heard him. He said something.
Yeah. They're dog whistling the AR-15, the AK's over here. Like, what about me? Hey, I'm right here, dude. Yeah. You used to love me. So, what's up with this sexy chick over here?
I don't know.
Come get me. Point. Yeah, I don't
get me. It's a good point, Tim. That was a weird direction, but I like where your head was. So in summation, big, huge goal of terrorism. International, from Pakistan all the way to Canada to the United States into a gun control zone, specifically targeting Jews to, quote, rack up as many Jews as they can, and connections with ISIS. So what's the summation here? Obviously, it's the effing guns. I'm glad we could show you guys. Nothing else going on. It's the guns.
Yeah, thank goodness he didn't, think of can we say, I can't say it because they'll ban us, won't they? Or like age restrict us? An explosive thingamajig, like a firecracker?
Yes, no. Yeah. Like a firecracker on steroids. You can do that.
Yeah, a firecracker in a Ryder truck. I'm glad that didn't pop in his head. I mean, because we got to do something to ban these Ryder trucks and common household chemicals. We can't have people having that stuff. Well, anyway, thankfully the AR-15 attack was thwarted by Canadian law enforcement and maybe the FBI. We don't know, but boy, that was a close call, folks. Thanks for watching Second Legacy, and we'll talk to you guys soon.